Welcome to Ultimate DIY, where you learn to be your own handyman. And today we are going to talk about putting in subfloor. Before you put in subfloor, though, you have to pull everything up and make sure that your framing is good and adequate to hold up the subfloor. This house was built in the 1950s. They use 2x6. In today's standard, that's a little bit weak for these long spans. So what I've done is I have sistered up, meaning I've put two 2x6s together. Now that does not actually completely double the strength, but it gives it a lot more strength. On top of that, this floor was 2 foot on center, meaning from center of one to center of the other was 2 feet. Now it's about 18 inches. So I have changed several of the things to make the floor stronger. One other thing I did is I added cross bracing, which helps make the floor stronger. It also helps keep anything from twisting. So one last thing on the actual framing before we get into the subfloor is, do we use treated or do we use regular dimensional lumber? Normally you are going to use regular dimensional lumber because it is going to shrink up quite a bit if it is treated. Treated is got a lot of chemical pressed into it, and as it dries, it tends to shrink up. So we don't want that. Now, where we would want that is if this happens to be touching the ground somewhere. You don't want termites going up in it, and you do not want other problems, even if it's touching concrete, because concrete is alkaline and alkaline eats into the wood. So everywhere these are touching concrete on posts, I have foam in between to keep it separated. So that is your main floor. Make sure it is strong, make sure it is straight, make sure it is level. And speaking of level, that's one other reason you may want to use sisters. If, say, this part is the back of the house, that it's behind me and it was tilted in a little bit, started to sink a little over the last 4 or 5 decades, I may want to sister one and leave one of them a little bit higher to get it level. So that way I don't have to rip everything out. I'm just going to add a little bit of lumber here. That's another reason that you would sister. All right, so let's get into the subfloors. The subfloor, what I'm using is going to be a sheet of 3/4 ply. A lot of times if I go into especially an older house and they have a hardwood floor, you'll find just one sheet. Or you're going to find dimensional lumber that has gone diagonally across the room. And what they do then is they go over the top of that with tar paper to break, any type of moisture that may be coming up through the floors, and it helps with that squeak. So those are the, generally the two types that you're going to find in some of these older homes. Now, in more modern homes, you're going to put a 3/4 down, and you will probably go over that with a 1/2 inch or even another 3/4, which is what I'm going to do today. But you're especially going to want to do that if you plan on tiling. You want this to feel like concrete. You do not want it to move at all. If it is moving, if you have dips and valleys and it is not level, you are going to crack your tile and have problems. Now, when I say level, what that means is you want it doesn't have to necessarily be level from here to the other side of the room, meaning totally level. What it means is I don't want humps, because those humps will cause things to crack and break. So you want everything to slope, at least if there is a little bit of a slope in that direction, and no big humps. So everything I've got in here is level. This is my first, or this is the very last piece that goes on the floor. Now this is tongue and groove normally, everything else in here on my first level. The very last piece though, the tongue and groove does not work. So I'm going to put just a regular sheet in. Now we are going to glue and screw that sheet down. My next sheet that goes on the top is regular plywood with no tongue and grooves, and they go directly over it in the same direction, screwed down. And I'll show you that in a minute, because there's a trick to it. There's a ton of screws you have to put in if you're going to do it correctly. So I'll show that in a second, but before we get to that, let's get this down. So what I do here, I like the PL3X Premium, or if I'm doing a lot of subfloor, I will use PL400 subfloor. But I have found that the little PL3X works just as good. And when you put this on and it dries, it is like a rock. You're not going to get that sheet back off. That's why we do the upper sheet different. Now, there is a cutter in your gun. This is the big tubes. It goes much further if you're doing a whole bunch of a floor. The cutter doesn't work as good on these as it does on others, so I just cut this in a notch like that, giving myself a pretty good size opening. And so once you've cut it, all of these guns have a little rod in them, and you're going to puncture the seal. All right, so there we go. Now put this in, the little knob goes up, and we are ready to start applying. Put on some good rubber gloves, and we just put a nice big thick bead all across here. Now here I've got two, so what I like to do is I will kind of zigzag this back and forth so it can hold in between both of them. And then I even put some of my centers. Now long stretches, keep it just like that. This will also help stop with the squeaks. All right, and one more down here. Just like that. And then look back for any places that you may want a little dab more. This is your one chance to make sure it's down tight. Looks pretty good. Release the button, turn it, and we are now good to rock and roll. My plywood has an arrow here showing me that that is the wall. So the trick now is to get it on there without rubbing off all of my glue. So what I'll do is I'll line it up where it's pretty close, right in here, and then drop it. And that. There we go. All right, guys, now that it's down and in place, if I had a lot of these or something, I would actually pop a chalk line, especially if I'm only 1.5 inches wide, but I'm 3. So it's pretty hard to miss this one. Now I have smaller screws here, which are going to be the number 8s, 1 5/8. That's going to be for my next layer, and I'll explain that in a minute. But on this, I'm going to use 3-inch screws. Now these are regular decking screws for outside. The nice thing about these is they can handle treated lumber. They can handle moisture. They do have a screw, like I'll explain when it gets to these, that you can use that have a coarse thread and a fine thread, and they work with screw guns, and they work really well. But to be honest with you, these work just as good for me, and I have no problem. The only thing I don't like is the whole big section is not threaded here at the top. My threads are only at the bottom. Now what I will generally do, I will pick one of my centers, go into it here, and I'll pop a center one in. Right here, and I make sure that it goes underneath the surface, and then I will start fanning out, and you will go about 8 inches or so. You can use a block like this and space it out with that, which makes it just a little bit easier to make sure you're dead on. See where that pulled that down nice and flat. And then I go over to the next one and start in the middle the same way. By starting in the middle, you tend to push out any bubbles or buckles, I should say, not really bubbles. but it keeps it from having a problem. If they don't go deep enough, pull them out, because you don't want those heads sticking up and creating a problem later. And so basically, guys, I'm going to complete that just like this all the way around. And next, I'm going to show you how you put the second layer down. So let's do that. So if you're going to add a second layer, say you were going to put down tile or what have you, you're going to need to screw that down. Now your first layer, obviously, like I just showed you, is going to be glued and screwed down, but you do not want to glue this piece, because if you glue this piece, it is hard to get up later, and then you'll probably end up having to cut out all of your subfloor and redo it if you decide to change tile or anything else. Now you will roll your tar paper out and staple it down. You do not have to use tar paper on this level. I like to use it in case, since it is just screwed down, if it gets a little loose anywhere, it kind of helps with squeaks and things like that. Back in the old days, when they did not use plywood much, they used strips, and they would go diagonally, big strips of wood, and go across the floor, and then they would cover it with the tar paper to help block out any moisture or air, penetration through your floors. So you don't necessarily have to do that with ply. Like I said, I'm doing it for squeaks. I'm going to use decking screws. These are going to be number 8s, 1 and 5/8. If you can get 1 and 3/8, if you're using 3/4 ply, it works a little bit better. Now you're going to need to adjust that. If your upper layer is, say, 1/2 inch or something like that, you're going to probably require a different screw, because I do not want to put these screws through and go into my floor joists. I want to screw just to my subfloor. So what you're going to do, I've already got the front section done, so I can kind of show you. You're going to have 8-inch spacing in the field, this section. Around the edges, you're going to do about every 2 to 3 inches all the way around, like you can see I've done here. Now remember, there's no glue, so that's what's holding this and making it tight so that you do not have squeaks and everything else. So that's why you're going to put an abundance of screws. Now I see a lot of guys get in here and they're stuck. They don't understand how to get this 8-inch space, so they just start dropping screws and trying to make sure that they're 8 inches apart. I like to go in the very center. I will sink my first screw, which I have here. Then I go 8 inches over, 8 inches over, 8 inches over. I will get it pressing the plywood this way and that way. What you're doing is working out any air bubbles or any bows in the actual plywood so that you don't have a creaking problem later or cracked tile. So I work that way. Then I go 8 inches up from each one of those, and then 8 inches up from each one of those, and I continue till I get to the end. If it's a little greater than 8, I will kind of split in the middle, and I'll sink a separate one before I do my edges. Edges are very important. That's why you're putting so many screws there, because that tends to be where it curls up. Now, if you don't know what 8 inches is, and you're sitting there with a tape measure trying to figure this out, and it's taking you forever, simply take and cut yourself an 8-inch block like this, and then you can lay it down and space it. So I'm going to go like that, and I'm going to sink my screw. And what you can do is make your block a little bit less than 8 inches. You could go maybe 7 and 7/8. That way you can put the screw right at the very end. So I'll do that. And that's going to have me spaced really well there. Then I can go the other directions like this. And like this. And let's see where that's going to put us. Yeah, we'll go ahead and put one more here because we're still going to do the edge. just like that. Now make sure your screws are underneath the surface. You do not want the head sticking out, especially if you end up with any high points where they meet. You have to go with a belt sander or something. You don't want that hitting. So we're going to do that. And there. And one last one here. Now that has me going in the center of a knot. I would recommend going beside the knot because knots do not hold very well and they're hard to drill into, even the edge like I just did there. And I saw that pull that down. So you're going to continue that all the way around anywhere that it needs it. And then you're simply going to start, and I'll start here just to show you. We'll go right at the middle. That, and then we're going to go about every 2 to 3 inches. And this, like I said, this is going to seem like way overkill. But this is the most important part. And I can tell that it's totally flush, which is perfect. That's what we're looking for. And I continue this all the way around the edge. Like I said, I've already got it up to there, so I'm going to continue this. This side is done. I look for any places that I might have too big of a gap, like right in here, and I may sink an extra one. This is your one chance to get this very tight, especially if you're going to tile, because once you tile, you're not going to get back under there. And even a lot of wood floors, you're not going to be able to put a screw in. So make sure, walk everything, look, and make sure you don't see any places that look like the screw is further than 8 inches away. I'll continue this side, and then this is done. So pretty much that is it when it comes to putting in, subflooring. So I hope you got a little something out of this today. If you are not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Hit that little bell notification, or I should say ring that little bell notification, so that you know about all of our upcoming videos as I release them. And if you are not part of our newsletter group, you might want to check that out. I'll leave a link in the description. That is going to give all kinds of DIY tips and tricks and future sneak peeks for our episodes. So you'll become part of the ultimate DIYer family. So hopefully we'll see you guys on the next DIY project.